Hello, family. Welcome to Thriving Couples by the Dindies.
The place where we keep marriage real, fun, and fulfilling.
We're really glad to have you with us today. It's going to be an exciting one.
For sure.
Today we'll be talking about the 7 C's of a successful marriage.
And these are not oceans. They are C's. C for cat.
yes. We're talking about all of these things we'll be talking about starts with the letter C, 7 of them. And we think when you have this in your relationship, then you're going to have a very successful, happy marriage.
Yeah, these are very good tools for thriving.
Yeah, welcome on board. Great. So welcome on board. Today we are talking about the 7 C's of a successful marriage. I'm going to start with the first one, which is commitment. And I think probably this is one of the more crucial ones, especially in today's world, because these days commitment is only toe deep. It's not even knee deep. Yeah. So people are getting into relationships and they're ready to quit at the first sign of trouble. If they feel like my needs are no longer being met here, somebody says, adios, I'm out of here. So really, when you're talking about commitment, the issue is what is the depth of your commitment to this union of the two of you? If something happens, are you willing to stay the course? And at the past, the vows said, till death do us part. And people took those vows very, very seriously. I remember one gentleman that I met at a men's conference. And this gentleman, the wife had stroke at that time for 13 years. 13 years. And he'd always take care of her. I remember he would leave the conference early because he would say the caretaker during the day is leaving, so he's got to be there, taking care of the lady. She can't recognize him. She's not talking. 13 years.
Very unusual.
Yes, and that is what commitment means. So when you're talking about commitment in a marital relationship, it's to that level where we are truly saying, for better or for worse, I'm going to be here. The spouse knowing that tomorrow when they come, you will be there. So that is the depth of commitment we're talking about. In a covenant relationship, it's not based on how are you feeling today? Are your needs being met? Have you seen a hotter individual? The issue is, I made a commitment to you, and it is a commitment for life. If there's something that has a problem, we fix it. We don't look for an exit. It's just like they say, when a bulb has a problem in the house, you don't burn the house down. You say, okay, this bulb has an issue. Let's get another one and fix it. So that is a mindset that really makes for a great marriage when you know you're committed 101%.
And so commitment is followed by consistency, which is our second C. A marriage is not great by the things that you do once in a while, but because of the daily habits that are truly about making your relationship great, that you're consistent in loving your partner, that you're consistent in being faithful, that you're consistent in being thoughtful of them, that you're consistent in showing them that you care, you're consistent in listening to them, you're consistent in being a good husband, a good wife, a good mom, a good dad. So consistency really shows your integrity, really shows what your values are, and shows that you are committed, because the commitment is manifested by how you carry out your day-to-day activities in regards to that relationship. So consistency is important. Being predictable, being reliable, being trustworthy. So every day you have to be having habits that say, I care about this marriage and I want it to work. Like we said in another episode, it's great to go on holidays, and you should, if you can. It's a good thing. But the things that you do every day count much more into making a relationship healthy than the things that you do once in a while.
I remember once you're giving an example using people's fitness journey. Now we've just moved into the month of February, but every year in January, people make certain resolutions.
Oh, yes.
And it's usually interesting, the drastic measures people want to take. So somebody says, okay, now I will no longer be eating anything between on certain days of the week. Or some
Very
even more
drastic,
dramatic.
yes.
They say, okay, I'll be drinking this guava juice. Guava leaves juice. And with this, I'll sort out my issues. But you realize those things never work because they run out of steam. The people who actually get results are the people who take small steps, but those steps are taken every day. Consistently. So it's not what you do once in a while, no matter how amazing that is. It's broken down to what it is that you do every day. The amazing book by James Clear, the Atomic Habits. I think it really demonstrates this so well, that it is what those little things that you do every day that result in you achieving the life of your dreams.
The transformation that
it happens like that in marriage as well. It's what these things that you do daily, what do they speak about your relationship?
And we say that if you have erratic behavior in marriage and you are really unreliable, your consistency is like that one of a Kenyan politician.
Wacha tuachie hapo before we get
Isilete
into
shida.
trouble. Yeah, so let's talk then communication next. A lot of people actually believe that communication is a key to a great relationship.
It's very foundational.
Yes, because the only way in which you're able to understand one another is if you can have great communication. And for you to have a great relationship, you have to understand one another. You have to be on the same page. So communication allows you to connect with one another. But we like to take it a step further, that communication might be the key to a great relationship, but empathy is the door that communication opens. So it's about being empathetic in the way in which you do your communication. So the way in which you listen has to be empathetic, and the way in which you talk has to be empathetic, meaning you have to have the ability to put yourself in your partner's shoes at any one point. And then as you talk, you talk in a way that they hear, not in the way that you like to speak. So every time when you're considering your partner in that sense, then you start to have great communication. And of course, beyond that, you're thinking about body language. Then you're thinking about the wisdom of when to even talk.
Yeah.
I saw something beautiful that said, do not engage very deep, intense conversations anytime when you see hearts. And hearts here is HATS acronym. Yeah. The H is, don't do that when someone is hungry, especially
if they're Luyas.
Yes. Kama anatoka Western.
Ugali kwanza.
And then someone is angry, even for yourself. If you're angry, it's not a good time to now want to make life-changing decisions. And then if someone is tired, like for us sometimes, maybe I've had a whole day in the operating room.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, when I come home, there are those times she looks at me and she knows, okay.
Kula tu uoge ulale.
Yeah, this is not the time to start bringing up issues. And then if someone is sleepy, they're yawning and they're struggling to concentrate, and we can tell.
You'd just be speaking to their ghost.
I remember one time my good friend said there's a time the wife used to really like talking to him at the end of the day when they're in bed and they're about to sleep. She brings up very deep conversation
from last year.
Yes, and so he would be there just saying
and you can record that and just keep it playing.
Yeah, actually I remember that was his idea. He's like, I think I should just put a little record that says yes.
That would bring a lot of disasters.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's good to be sensitive to know where you are at as partners, and be sensitive and allow yourself the right time to communicate. But yes, communication is really an important part of a great marriage.
And then again, we say that great marriage is by choice. And this is our next C, that is choice. Every day, you choose your marriage, you choose to be considerate of we as opposed to I, Everything you do, the way you speak, the way you act, whether it's in the presence of your partner or in their absence, does it really communicate that you're choosing your marriage, the well-being of your marriage, the well-being of your relationship? Is it considerate of the feelings of your partner? So it's a choice to be faithful. It's a choice to be loving. It's a choice to stay in the marriage. I was listening to some lady who once said, now she'd been married for a couple of decades, but she said early on in their relationship when they were married and they had young kids, this time she was just annoyed at her husband. I don't know what he'd done. And then she decided, I'm going to pack and just go back to my father's house. And then she tried to book some flights, realized, this is quite expensive. So she decided, well, let me stay. And they fixed whatever it was. Sometimes people lose great marriages just because they're not willing to work through issues. They're not willing to resolve conflicts. So you have to choose to communicate. You have to choose to love. You have to choose to enjoy the marriage and be very intentional about it, to move it from just being good to being great. And every time putting the interests of the two of you beyond just yourself. Don't be individualistic. Marriage does not do well when there's selfishness. So as much as your well-being matters, you should have, I believe you chose a partner who cares about you. So you should show that you care about them. And when you care much more about your union, then you're going to be going places. So choose your marriage.
Yeah, it's a daily thing. I like the idea that it's a daily choice that you make. So we like to say you can have a new marriage every day to the same spouse if you choose your partner every day. So every day is yet another opportunity to choose your marriage.
Yeah.
The other aspect, of course, on that is about love. And I love the idea that love is a choice. It's not a feeling.
Oh, yes.
Because then that frees you to know that even when you're not really feeling the butterflies in the belly and things, you can still choose to love your spouse. And the feelings tend to follow. So you lead by choice and everything else follows. So it is important to think of love as something you choose. You choose your spouse every single day.
And that, of course, brings us to the concept of unconditional love as something you choose. And that is not very natural to us as human beings. But then marriage is God's idea. And when you do it God's way, you become a better person day by day, a better spouse, a better person to live with. And this is because you know that you rely on a higher power and more grace from God to enable you to love your partner even when you don't feel like they are really deserving. That unconditional love is something that can only come from the heart of God. And we can rely on God to enable us to keep choosing to do right in our marriage.
Absolutely. The next C is consummation. Yeah, we like that one. We've chosen a politically correct term. But yes, the physical, intimate side of a marriage is really crucial. Sexual intimacy makes a world of a difference if you are intentional about it. There are a lot of people who hope, they leave it to spontaneity. Yeah, they believe the myth of Hollywood that things will just spontaneously happen now and again. You'll be grabbing each other and slapping
each other against the walls.
Here and there. It doesn't happen like that in real life. Life happens. We are busy. Children come, schedules, your meeting deadlines. At the end of the day, if you don't intentionally schedule in sexual intimacy in your life, you'll discover that you are slowly becoming a sexless marriage.
Yeah, and you're not really bonding at a special level. And I think that's why a couple should come together and agree, discuss what frequency would you want for us to be having in this area. And you get to know what each one of you desires. And it's highly unlikely that you're going to have the same kind of frequency, but then you agree, negotiate, and have some average that kind of works well. And then again, just like we said, you act right and the feelings follow. It's an issue of commitment. When you're scheduling this and you're thinking, romantically about your spouse, you're more likely to get in the mood. But you have to schedule. You leave it to chance. That might not happen when you're busy in your careers, you're raising kids. There's a lot going on, but you have to diarize that because it's very very important.
There was recently I was told a story of a gentleman that was attending a men's conference. So the men were asking themselves, so how many times do you guys shake the bed in your home? Yeah, so the young ones were saying, 3-4 times a week. The little older ones were saying once a week, some once a month. And there was a gentleman there who said it's once a year. And everyone felt so
was
sad.
he in his 90s anyway?
Everyone felt so sad for him. Then, but he looked so happy, so excited. So people were like, why are you so happy with such terrible frequency? And he said, today is the day.
Oh.
Yeah, but just to say,
let me not get naughty.
it's important to have a great frequency. Yeah, it's frequency. Tayachia hapo.
Yeah, I think the other C is about being curious about your partner. We believe in being a student of your partner. You will never get bored in marriage if you look at your partner as this adventure, this mystery that you need to keep discovering every day. And your partner is very multi-dimensional, and there's a lot that you can learn about them. For the almost 19 years that we've been married, and I think I've learned a lot about you. I've learned a lot from you. And it's come from me being interested in what interests you, listening to you, knowing what your dreams are, what your aspirations are, what are some of the exciting or not so exciting experiences that you've had in your past in growing up. And that makes me understand why you tick in a certain way, why you do things in a different way, or if you're truly interested in your partner, you're going to get to understand their idiosyncrasies, and you'll be more invested in them. It makes me a good listener. It makes me interested in you. It makes me want to know where you want to go, where you want to level up, how it can be part of your story. And so just being interested for me also shows that I love you, that I care about you, that I am interested, in you as a person and what makes you tick. The other thing is that sometimes people could have gone through various experiences, even growing up. If you truly listen and even sometimes ask, what is it that makes them get triggered by some certain things that would not even trigger you, then you might realize it's a childhood experience, and you might be part of their healing journey. You might be their therapist without the credentials. So the thing is that just be interested in your partner, and you'll be surprised how much more you learn about them and how much they are easier to live them with when you understand them and you're excited about their lives.
Yeah. I think the other aspect of that curiosity is to contrast it against being critical, because those two things are on two opposite sides of the spectrum. So you can be curious, or you can be critical. Something can happen and you can be curious. You seek to understand what was the mindset behind this. And sometimes when you understand, it loses its sting, because now you know, this is where it's coming from. It's actually coming from a good place, a clean heart. It's just that your understanding of it was different. So if you're curious instead of being critical, it really helps the relationship to level up. But if you maintain a critical mindset, it's only a matter of time before the relationship hits a real snag. Yeah,
and that curiosity just makes you understand each other, and it builds on intimacy, which is very crucial in marriage.
Fantastic. Yeah, but we now come to number 7. They say 7 is the number of completion. And for us, our number 7 is Christ. And we feel when Christ is the foundation of your relationship, then everything else you build on that relationship is anchored on something that is solid, immovable, the one thing that is true. So when Christ is your true north, you'll never go wrong in terms of your direction, because you've got a true north. And for us, that has really helped, because if we're having a disagreement, sometimes we are off tangent, but I know you can go to God on your own, I can go to God on my own, and He can guide us back. It can put us back on track. And so having that relationship with God as the both of us, not just as a unit, but at an individual level, so that my commitment is first, not even to you, but it's a commitment to God. I honor my commitment to God first, then my commitment to you. And that really helps us to remain on track as a couple.
And so the more you're focused on Christ, the more as the center of your relationship, the more it keeps drawing you together. And, I say that it's easy to submit to you because I know you're submitted to Christ and we are both submitted to Christ. So we are reading from the same blueprint, from the same manuscript. So it really helps us just ensure that we're on the right track. And if we deviate at any one point, then we can come back on course because we are centered on Christ.
Yeah. And just to remind the folks, the spiritual side of a relationship is maybe the deepest level of intimacy. Because there are various things that attract people. There's that whole concept of pies. You can be attracted at a physical level, at an intellectual level, at an emotional level,
and
at a spiritual level. And so when you're connected at a spiritual level,
that's
then
deep.
The strength of that relationship is truly anchored deep. And so you are unlikely to be shaken by the things that come. Physical attraction is great, but the truth is we change.
Sustain.
We change over time. Things start to sag, things start to drop. My hair disappeared. Life just happens. So if it's just physical attraction, then you don't have a relationship that will last the test of time. And emotionally, things shift and change. But if it is anchored at a deep spiritual level, where the connection is to Christ himself, who is never changing, then that is a relationship that is as solid as it gets.
You're on a solid foundation.
Great. So there you have it. We've talked about the 7 C's. Remember them.
Yes. Practice them.
Commitment, consistency,
curiosity.
Yes. Communication.
Choice.
Consummation.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how can we leave out our favorite?
And then finally be anchored on Christ.
Absolutely. So see you next time. Enjoy this one. I really want you to tune in for the next one. You're going to have a blast. See you next time.
See you.